Hello. Thank you for viewing our Events Fundraising webinar series. We're excited that you're interested in learning more about fundraising for Free to Breathe and helping each individual and family impacted by lung cancer. Before we get started with the fundraising ask, please make sure that you view our introduction and thank you message if you haven't already. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. The two items that I'm going to be covering in the session are right here, the fundraising ask in 5 steps. So we have come up with a handful of fundraising ask examples using 5 different steps, which we'll outline with you. And then the elements of a good ask. So we're going to include and share with you what these elements of a good ask are, because I hope that if I've done my job correctly, that you will feel motivated to not just use the asks that we've provided you with, although that's perfectly fine if that's what you plan on doing, but maybe you feel compelled to write your own ask using these elements that we have come up with and kind of using some of these examples as your guideline. So let's get started on the fundraising ask in 5 steps. So here are the 5 steps that I have been referring to. Identify the need you are trying to address. Explain why it is important. Share what you are doing about it. Ask your donor to take a specific action, and then stop talking and listen for objections. This last part here won't necessarily always apply to depending on the way in which you're asking. For example, if you're asking someone over email, you won't need to do that. The end of the email will naturally take care of that for you. So identify the need you are trying to address. Lung cancer claims more lives than breast, colon, and prostate cancer combined. Explain why it is important. As someone who has lost a loved one to this disease, I know firsthand what lung cancer can take from a family. Share what you are doing about it. So I'm participating in and fundraising for the Athens Free to Breathe event because I want to fund research that will help families have more time with their loved ones. Ask your donor to take a specific action. Will you help by giving a gift of $50 today? And then stop talking and listen for objections. As I said, this one won't always apply depending on how you ask. Now, this is what the ask looks like all together, rolled up into one, and this is from the perspective of someone who has lost a loved one. Lung cancer claims more lives than breast, colon, and prostate cancer combined. As someone who has lost a loved one to this disease, I know firsthand what lung cancer can take from a family. So I'm participating in and fundraising for the Athens Free to Breathe event because I want to fund research that will help families have more time with their loved ones. Will you help by giving a gift of $50 today? Here is another example of an ask. This is from the perspective of someone who is a team participant. 1 in 14 people are diagnosed with lung cancer. When we think about the number of people we have on Team Molly, that statistic hits too close to home. That's why we're participating in and fundraising for the Athens Free to Breathe event on November 16th. Will you support us by making a $50 donation today? Also, let us know if you're interested in learning more about the event. We'd love to have you join. I love this last part because I think, quite frankly, we all share in the responsibility of growing the size of the event. And we have access to so many of our friends and family and even our potential donors who may choose to participate in the event. So planting that seed is a really great way to try to see the event succeed even more. Here's an example of an ask from the perspective of a loved one who has been diagnosed. Lung cancer makes everyday tasks seem insurmountable. Watching my loved one go through this after being diagnosed with lung cancer has spurred me into action. I'm participating in and fundraising for the Athens Free to Breathe event because I want to raise money for essential research, treatments, and advocacy programs. Will you help by giving a gift of $50 today? And then here's an ask from the perspective of a lung cancer survivor. As a lung cancer survivor, I know how critical research is to furthering treatment advancements. Unfortunately, research for this disease is severely underfunded. So I'm participating in and fundraising for the Athens Free to Breathe event to ensure there are more lung cancer survivors. Will you help by giving a gift of $50 today? So the elements of a good ask, as I said, I want to touch on what all of these asks have in common, and then so if you feel inspired to create your own ask, you have a little bit to go off of. So first and foremost, it has a question mark. Very simply, you're asking a question. There is the opportunity for a potential donor to say yes or no to something that you have put in your fundraising request. It's specific. In all of these examples I shared, $50, I believe, is just the baseline of what to ask for. Some of you may choose a different amount. You may choose 25, you may choose 100. But I hope that you all take the time to think about what is the specific amount in which you're going to ask for. I have referred to many times throughout this fundraising webinar series, so if this is the first time you're hearing this, this may be news to you, but I hope that many of you have listened to all of the components of the fundraising webinar series. But I talked about a fundraising event that I did, and I asked for $50. I asked for $50 or an amount in which you're comfortable with. And lo and behold, the most frequent gift size donation that I received was exactly $50. Some people gave $25, some people gave $100, some people gave way less, way more, and somewhere in between there. But it was really encouraging for me to see that what I asked for was most frequently what I received. And I think it's a good lesson for you all to learn from my example and my experience with fundraising. You get what you ask for. So it doesn't always happen in life, but I found that it does happen that way in fundraising, which is nice. It's spoken. So very much just kind of to one of the fundraising basics, you're not making assumptions for people. You're not choosing who you're going to ask based on some preconceived ideas you have for whether someone has the ability to donate or not. So you're putting it out there. You're giving someone the opportunity to donate because it's spoken. And then it's authentic for you. This is a really important one because people are so connected to the reason why you're doing this. And oftentimes when people donate, it's because they want to show their love and support of the person who's asking for a donation. So making sure that you include the reason why you're doing this, why you're inspired and motivated to do the fundraising and to participate in the event is a really important way to ensure that your potential donor connects to the reason why this is so important. So make sure that you include some personal information in there about why it is you're doing this. And if it's something that you've done previously, making sure that you share the reasons why you keep doing it. I'll leave you with this thought, which is that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. In fundraising, we talk about the golden rule, which is you get money when you ask for it, so you need to ask. That's the golden rule of fundraising. It's very simple, just to ask. I encourage all of you to take all of the shots that you can get. I promise you no one is going to give you their last dollar, and you will be surprised and really, really, just really heartwarmed at the people in your life who will want to show their support. So I just want to end by saying thank you. I certainly hope that we've provided you with some specific examples which you can take and use for your own fundraising efforts, or that, we've provided you with a little bit of information to help you craft your own fundraising ask. Regardless, thank you for your time and for all of the energy that you'll be putting into fundraising for Free to Breathe. And thank you for helping to turn the vision of doubling lung cancer survival into a reality.